What's up, everybody? Welcome to Eternal Midnight. I'm Chad. I'm here with Erica.
Hi, everyone.
And I'm also here with Santino.
Hey, everyone.
And today we are talking the Annabelle Trilogy. Which
Ta-da!
of the Conjuring franchise, the Annabelle Trilogy has my favorite of the entire franchise smacked right in the middle of it. But before we get to Annabelle Creation, unfortunately, we've got to talk about the first Annabelle. One of the most boring horror movies ever made. So I'll give my thoughts in a few minutes, but I'm going to let you guys go first.
So I was insanely bored while watching it. I was actually scrolling Tumblr while I was watching it because I was like, nothing's gonna happen. The main part, my first note was the cute scene between John and Evelyn. Those are the main. No, not Evelyn. Mia and John. Those are the main characters. That's how boring it is. I couldn't remember the main character.
Wait, I thought Mia was the baby.
No, Mia is the mom.
Oh. Sorry, the movie is just that forgettable.
Mia is the mom, John is the dad, and the one part that I liked at the beginning was the nursery belly kiss thing when she was pregnant. John,
how sad is that when that's the best part of a movie for someone?
John was so sweet with her, but it was really boring. I mean, there's a few notes that are just kind of like, there's nothing super scary. The only kind of interesting part was that whole thing in the basement with the baby carriage and the elevator not going up. How did it was a sad ending or it was a good ending? I can't remember. What was the ending again?
Well, it was the woman, their neighbor, took.
Oh, yes.
It was kind of like almost like a ripoff of the end of the end of The Exorcist, with someone sacrificing their soul to take possession to save someone else and then killing themselves. I mean, that's really all it was. So yeah, an exciting ending that was nothing more than a ripoff of one of the best horror movies ever. So yeah. No, fuck it.
So those are my initial thoughts on the first Annabelle. Santino?
It was trash. I hated it.
Yeah, it was.
It's a boring movie with bad acting and nothing scary at all about it. All you have are creepy shots of the doll, like, oh, it's Annabelle, look at it. And like, so fucking junk. I'm sorry to curse, but I hated it. I hated it so much. It's like, I don't like this movie at all. The acting is bad. Chad, you say that La Llorona is the worst. I disagree. This is the worst. At least La Llorona has good acting, at least with the main lead. This one's just...
La Llorona has Linda Cardellini, so that makes it better.
No, it's just terrible to watch. I mean, like, I don't like the main actress. Nothing scary about it. The one scary thing was the baby scene in the baby carriage in the elevator. And that was it. It was so boring. So boring. Can we skip this and go to the creation? Can we?
We will.
I hate it. It's a terrible movie. There's nothing memorable about it. The plot is forgettable. The acting is atrocious. The doll, it's not even scary. I fell asleep halfway through when I first watched it. I hate it. I don't like it at all. It was so. It's like watching your elderly granddad piss, and it's just like, oh god. Takes.
I'm sorry.
End this already, so I can.
What was that comparison? Did you just say watching your elderly grandfather take a piss?
I mean, it's a good analogy because nobody wants to watch something like that, and nobody wants to watch this movie.
It's terrible. It's like it's hard to look at. And it feels like you're so halfway into it. You're like, oh, I don't want to see this. I really don't want to see this. That's what it is. It's just so boring and it's painful to go through too. And I'm sorry, I just don't. It's really. I have a hard time watching it. I had a hard time rewatching it. I don't want to fast forward to the end. And when it finally ended, I was like, thank God. Something else, please. I popped in after I watched Annabelle, I popped in Infinity War right after because like I need something exciting to like.
I watched Star Wars after.
Yeah, right. Like see, you need something exciting to fuel yourself after. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion. It's like oh, oh, oh.
Yeah,
It's
but car
disaster.
crashes are exciting to watch sometimes.
Yeah, car crash is exciting. This is not.
Yeah, so for me, the first Annabelle, it's boring as hell. I disagree. I think La Llorona is worse because at least with the first Annabelle, I can remember some of the stuff from it. With La Llorona, I don't remember shit. But yeah, this movie just offered nothing. I mean, it literally was like I remember when they first announced they were doing an Annabelle spinoff. I thought it was going to be building on the story of the two nurses from the first Conjuring and their experiences with the doll. But then it was something completely different. And it was, yeah, I mean, it was boring. Nothing happens. I wasn't connected or invested with any of the characters. And it just, yeah, I mean, it was nothing. It was a nothing movie. I don't understand. I understand why it was made, but I don't understand why it was as boring and bland as it was. So, I mean, honestly, I think we've basically covered everything. I don't even really think we have anything more to discuss when it comes to the first Annabelle because there's really nothing to say. It's a boring, bland film that's not memorable. And really, the only good thing I think the first Annabelle gave us was it made enough money that the studio was like, oh, look, people are interested in this character. Let's make a far superior prequel. My personal favorite of the entire Conjuring franchise, Annabelle Creation. Erica, what was your thoughts when you watched it?
Oh my god. Okay, so these two people here, my co-hosts, the stupid boys that I'm stuck hanging out with so often. I'm kidding. They're awesome. But they kept saying how much Annabelle Creation is gonna freak me out. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna cry. You're gonna, it's gonna be so sad. The characters." And they were so right. Oh my god.
Poor Janice. That poor girl.
These poor little girls, like, oh my god, it scared me so much. And like, there's this poor, like, orphan disabled girl who ends up like with this possessed doll, and the doll ends up possessing her, and then it was so sad, but it was so freaking terrifying too. I'm gonna try to swear a little bit less in this one than I did in the Conjuring review because when I was editing that, I was like, oh shit, oh shit, I was swearing so much in that. So I'm gonna try to say fuck a little bit less, but and it was really scary, and it had a happy-ish kind of ending-ish kind
No,
of.
it didn't.
I don't know.
No, it
How
didn't.
was that happy?
You're
Janice
right.
lost her soul and was possessed until she got killed.
Okay, you're right. That's fair. It was really gory. But those are my initial things. I will go into more points after. Santino, what about you?
Okay, Annabelle Creation was not only the first Conjuring franchise movie I saw in theaters, but the first horror movie I saw ever in theaters.
Good start. Good start.
Yeah, I was watching. I was fucking terrified, honestly. I was like, I can't. And like, there was a point in the movie where I was watching with my best friend Dylan, who's a sucker for all these horror movies, and like when all the disturbing stuff was happening, he was so desensitized. To like, yeah, I've seen way worse. I don't know. He looked beside me, and I was on my phone because I couldn't take what was on the screen. And he asked, "Santi, what are you doing?" I was like, "I'm reading Romani fan fiction because I can't take what's on the screen right now." But like, I have a funny side story regarding Annabelle Creation. Like, I watched like the late night showing, like the 9:21, right? Because that's the only one. And my house is not in the city limits. It's outside the city, so it's a bit of a long drive. And I was hungry, so after I said goodbye to my friend Dylan, my mom picked me up and drove me home. And she got food McDonald's on the way. So anyway, that's the point of story. There's a McDonald's bag in the trunk, and I fell asleep. And then I woke up, like we were like 30 minutes away from my house. I woke up and my mind was a bit groggy. So I saw the McDonald's bag and I'm like, wait, that looks like, oh my God, that's Annabelle from the movie. So I started screaming and I was like, and like what is it? What is it? Like, oh, oh my God. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I thought that was the doll from the movie. Like, see, this is what, and my mom's like, see, this is why I don't bring it to horror movies. This is exactly why. Like, man, this movie terrified me. So many good scenes. I mean, like from the opening car wreck at the beginning. You know what I'm talking about, Chad.
Okay, my
Girl
story
gets-
real quick with that. The group I went with, when we hit that point, right when Annabelle ran into the street and got hit by the car, I had a friend who he and I like we're both sick fucks. Like we laugh at all sorts of horrible shit. And when Annabelle ran out in the street and got hit by the car, both of us just burst out into laughter. And we were with a large group. She runs out, gets hit. We both burst out laughing. And when we stop, another friend of ours who was a few seats down, he looks at us and he goes, "Hey, assholes, you guys are the only ones in the entire theater that laughed." And we're like, oops.
What is with you wanting tiny children being brutally murdered by scary things? Like first,
Because that's the point of a horror film. It's
First, it was
supposed to scare you. It's supposed to be terrible. That's the
First, it was-
point. It's horror movies are not supposed to be happy.
First, it was the Crooked Man and Billy, and now it's Annabelle, the cute little girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Tell
I
'em,
forgot.
I don't care.
Correction, Chad. Annabelle Creation wasn't the first horror movie I saw in theaters. It was Ouija, Origin of Evil.
Nice.
The girl.
Just
the
as good
girl.
of an intro.
Yeah.
Lulu
They're
Wilson.
Yeah, the girl. She was a star in the entire Creation movie. The girl, Lulu Wilson from Ouija. It was nice seeing her as a. It was nice seeing her as a good girl for a change, because in Ouija she's the main, the one who gets
Mhm.
possessed. It was nice seeing like, oh, she's the nice one here. I thought she would be the one to get possessed, but nah, it's poor Janice with their broken leg, and oh god, I don't want to.
Yeah, because Janice had, this was in the 50s, and I think like Nurse Charlotte said at the beginning when they first got to the house, she said Janice had barely survived getting polio. So it physically affected her for her childhood up until the ending when she was possessed and she was fine.
Yeah.
That poor
Yeah.
girl. Oh my god. Okay, so what about you, Chad? When you first saw Annabelle Creation? Tell us about that.
Oh, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. This whole movie is just just such a fun roller coaster from beginning to end. I mean, it's like I said on last week's episode. This to me is my favorite because it really is just the most brutal. All of these characters just get so mentally and physically fucked up. All of them. I mean, I almost wish I could have seen your face, Erica. The scene when Mr. Mullins' fingers were getting ripped off of the cross.
That was so bad, honestly.
His
When I saw
only weapon, and his fingers got peeled off of it, and he just got destroyed.
that was so bad.
It's just, there's literally so many things about this film I love. I mean, like, I rewatched it last night for the first time in a while, and I had just as much fun watching it as I did the first time. It's just a blast from beginning to end. All the scares are there, the creepy moments are there. And for anyone who doesn't know, the same guy that directed this was the guy who did Shazam. And it's like,
I can't
that's
believe
awesome
that.
because he knows what he's doing.
I still can't believe that's true.
Isn't
then-
it cool?
And then they
There-
brought it, and then I'm guessing that's why David Sandberg brought in Grace Fulton to play Carol.
Mm-hmm.
Grace Fulton played the sister in what was her character?
Well,
name?
yeah, she did. Well, yeah, she was Carol in Creation, and then she was Mary in Shazam.
Yeah, so that same actress, her
Mhm.
name is Grace Fulton. Yeah.
I'll say this though. Janice is a really good actress, especially that scene where she's
Yes.
possessed,
Tal-
and she's
Talitha Bateman is her name, the girl who played Janice. Talitha Bateman. So she was
okay.
amazing. Like, if there was an
That-
Oscar Awards for kids, she would win the Oscar.
Oh, she played it so. She did such a good job, I thought. I mean,
Yeah.
she was perfect in the scenes where she was sad, where she was terrified, where she was trying to remain optimistic with everything going on. I mean, think about it. This is one of the most like tragic characters you've ever seen in a horror film. It's this poor little orphan who barely survived polio and is crippled in the 50s, who openly says on multiple occasions, nobody's going to want to adopt me now because I would just be a burden to them. And then she winds up losing her soul to and getting possessed by a demon. It's like, this is one of the most tragic, sad characters in all of horror history. And it's like, but that's what makes this movie so good is it's like you're watching her and it's like I can't say you relate with her, but it's like you're rooting for her from beginning to end. You're like, no, I want to see Janice get through this. I want to see her beat this and win. And then she loses. And it's like, that was probably the only good thing in retrospect of going back and rewatching the first Annabelle after this one was the Manson style people who broke into the home. It kind of gave you more of a tie to her. And at the same time, it's like, it sucks because it's like, oh, look, that's how Janice died in the end. But it also gives you that kind of closure, like, at least she's finally at rest and not possessed by the Annabelle demon anymore. But yeah, that's about the only positive thing I can give to the first Annabelle. But but no, yeah, just from beginning to end, this whole movie is just great. I think the scares are awesome. I think most of the gore is awesome. Like, Eric, I remember you texted us at the point when Mrs. Mullins got ripped in half. What did you think of that?
Oh, that was disgusting. Oh my God. To go into specific moments here, like one thing that I think was a really good way to kind of start it out was the notes from Annabelle.
Mm-hmm.
The little notes that they left throughout the house. And I like how they started that, like, in the beginning, back when Annabelle was, like, actually still alive with her dad when she's playing, like, hide and seek or something.
Who, her dad, real quick, the dad literally is just a fat Liam Neeson. He looks like him and he sounds like him.
The dad, like, I don't know. He was weird. They could have made him a little bit more part of the plot, if that makes sense. I don't know.
I think they wanted to focus on the girls, but I get what you're saying.
There was a cupboard under the stairs. No, come on, it's a Harry Potter reference.
Yeah, I get it.
There's another one for next time. But there's another one for Comes Home, but we'll talk about that after. But it was a very scary under the cupboard stairs.
Cupboard under the stairs. You're gonna reference it right.
Sorry, guys. I forgot how to words there. Let me.
You forgot how words there?
I know how to speak English, but I worded it wrong. The first really big jump scare for me was when the two girls were under the sheet, telling about Mrs. Mullen, and then the hand just came out and like pulled her face. I screamed. And then the part where Janice goes into her room and then she actually sees Annabelle looking out the window.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you want? And then she turns around and her face gets all like mangled and she's like, your soul. And I was like, ah!
Oh God, it was
so scary. It was really scary. Like it was one of those moments where it's like, oh my God, I know something's gonna happen, but it still made me jump, And then when she was trying to run away, she got stuck on the chairlift, and then it brought her down from the ceiling, and she was in a wheelchair, and
Then the nun dragged her into the barn, and that's when she got possessed. God, it's like, that's why it's like whenever I think about this movie, it's like all I can keep repeating is this poor girl. This poor girl.
That should be the title of the movie. This poor girl.
That's all the movie is. It's this poor girl who's got everything against her, just getting tortured, and life just gets worse and worse.
Can I say I love that scene where she's like piercing a doll, and then he's like, you know how much I love, you know what I love about Sweet Sue? And she shows the doll's like mango face. She looks just like you. Like, oh, dude, like get out of that.
Oh,
Get out. Oh, it was so messed up. And the scarecrow growing the scarecrow is messed up. Honestly.
the whole thing in the like barn garage thing, everything that happened there was scary. And the one thing that made me smile, it kind of reminded me of Home Alone, was when Linda like had gone in there and realized that there's something happening, and she was sitting there with like that BB gun. She was just like sitting there, and she was like getting ready to like shoot whatever was coming out, and it just the image of her sitting there with the BB. I don't know if it was a BB gun, but it was like some kind of.
It was like a little pop gun.
Yeah, it was a pop gun, and she was sitting there with the gun just ready, and it just reminded me of like in that scene from Home Alone. But that was just a random thing there. But the whole thing with her wheelchair, with Janice's wheelchair, and then she like gets pulled in there, and then it just like shit goes down. Everything and then that's when she gets possessed, right?
She got possessed in the barn when the nun wheeled her in. And then the spirit or the embodiment of the demon that took the form of the original Annabelle, like, lunged on top of her and did that thing that they do in movies where, like, she spit the black gunk and it went into Janice's mouth. And then Sister Charlotte ran in to find her, and she was like, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong. And it's like, oh, fuck.
And then one thing I'd like to say is at the beginning, I really liked the friendship between Janice and Linda. They were really cute. And I liked how it was like, if you get adopted, I'm getting adopted. We're not getting separated. It was really cute.
That's what I love. That's another thing I love about this movie is it has heart. It's not just this giant torture fest. Like, it has excellent moments like that. Two little girls discussing, you know, if I ever get adopted, you're coming with me. Like, that's awesome that they included that.
And I also like that there was a black girl in the orphanage with them. Just because I feel like, I don't know how things like that worked, but I know that in the 50s there was a lot of segregation with regards to stuff like that. So I liked that she was there, and it wasn't something that they focused on, the fact that she was black. So.
And Sister Charlotte, she was either mixed or she was black also, right?
I think she was like Spanish somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I say though, I'm not sure if you noticed it. I like the Easter egg where it's just the Easter egg where Sister Charlotte said, "Oh, these were nuns that I met in this monastery in Romania," and then she was like, "Oh, so he was like, who is this?" The dad's like, "Who's this?" And then like you see the nun, like the demon nun from the nun movie, and like, oh my god, that's her. Like when I went there, it's like, that's her from The Conjuring, and then the Sister Charlotte's like, I don't know, I've never seen her before. Like, dude, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe they added that. That was so clever, honestly. That was such a clever moment of like setup, which like, like I've only seen like usually Marvel and DC that do that, but like when The Conjuring does that, like that's amazing.
One part that I really that scared me was the tea party, when we finally talked to Mrs. Mullins, and she talks about when Annabelle first started reaching out to them, and there was all these little parts that were around where she was around, and then she goes into her room, and Annabelle's having a little tea party, and then the Annabelle turns into the fucking demon. Oh shit! I'm sorry. I swear. Anyways, Annabelle turns into the demon, and you see her body like cracking, and it was just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
That is one thing I would give. This franchise does such a good job with its sound effects like that, like those bones just cracking. It's like, it's so painful sounding, but it's like it does its job just perfectly.
There were so many jump scares with this. Like, of all the movies, I would say this one had the most jump scares with me. Of like, I was watching it and something came out and I like jumped and screamed.
See, and this is why I think like this is my favorite one for the reasons of it has the same scares of the original Conjuring, but it's also got more fun and heart that I want in a horror movie. And
Mhm.
that's why it's like I hold this one in such high regard because it's got the fun, it's got the heart, and it's got the scares.
Yeah.
And then yeah, and I did think it was cool how at the end they did show that when Janice got adopted, she had the doll and that like Raggedy Ann doll, that's actually what the real Annabelle doll in real life looks like. It's a Raggedy Ann doll, not that hideous thing that they made for the movie, but effectively I think the Annabelle doll that they created for the movies, I think it does a far superior job than a Raggedy Ann doll would have done. So overall, yeah, let's wrap up Creation. We'll get ready to go on to the next one. Let's give our closing thoughts on the movie real quick.
Okay, so my closing thoughts on it. Before I get into it, can I just say that this movie has my favorite joke in the entire Conjuring franchise. It's at the very end when the priest says, "Okay, the doll is unpossessed now; it's cleansed. Who wants it?" And everyone's like, "No."
And the girls are all looking at them and they're like,
Yeah, but overall, closing thoughts on Creation. It's a very, very vast improvement from the first one. I love it. The scares were amazing. Has heart. They had got the perfect director, David Sandberg, to really do it, and it's a really great intro origin to who Annabelle was and how the doll came to be. So that's awesome. It just sucks that the sequel was bad, but it's fine. You know.
You mean the first one?
The first one, not Comes Home. The first one.
I was gonna say, what? You suddenly turned on Comes Home? What's wrong with you?
No.
chronological sequel.
Right.
Yeah, the chronological sequel, not Comes Home. Comes Home is a whole different animal. So yeah.
So for me, I liked it. It was well made. The acting was incredible. The whole cast did a great job. It was very gory. I would say it was more gory. Well, it was more gory than all the other ones, especially when they freaking ripped her in half, ripped Mrs. Mullins in half. I saw that and I was just like, oh. I liked it. It was really good. It was made well. Acting was great. A lot of jump scares, good stories. I felt so bad for this poor little girl. Yeah, and
So
I
it succeeded. It succeeded at being a horror film. We're not supposed to be happy in a horror movie.
I know.
No, I'm saying in general, like I'm agreeing. Yeah, it did exactly what a horror movie should be. We're not supposed to be like, this is so happy. No, that's not a horror film. Go watch a musical if you want happiness.
What about you, Chad?
Oh, I still stand by. This is my favorite one of the entire Conjuring franchise. It's one of my favorite horror movies ever. I have a blast with it. Like I said, it's got heart, it's got fun, it's got scares, it's got the gore. It works all around for me in every department. So now we are moving on to the third of the Annabelle trilogy, which Annabelle Comes Home is such a weird movie because it's like,
yeah, it is.
I don't understand. I don't understand how it's rated R. It's not scary in the slightest, but unlike the first one, which wasn't scary, the first one was boring as hell. But what I love about Comes Home is this one has just like these characters that it's like I love all of the characters in this movie. So it's like before we dive into me, go ahead. What's you guys' initial thoughts?
My favorite character is the young boy Bob.
Bob's your favorite character?
Yes, I love him. Okay, he's so awkward. Like the actor who played him his name is Michael Camino, and he played such a good job of being like this awkward teenage boy, and then he came to the door to say hi, and then the let's all agree here that pizza guy was stoned beyond stoned. Like we can all agree that he was flying high up there somewhere.
And he thought he stood a chance with Mary Ellen.
And then he was just all awkward, and then the pizza guy was like, you have to woo her with rock and roll. And then he actually did it. He was outside playing guitar and wooing her. And then he was like, and then he got attacked by the Grimm.
Uh,
That was the first thing that came into my mind when I saw the dog come and attack him. I was like, oh no, he was in the middle of wooing her and she was coming down and they were gonna like get a kiss and they were gonna go to prom together. And I love how that's the part I'm focusing on. And then the Grimm. And then when I mentioned the Grimm, Santino didn't realize what was happening. And I was like, whoa, Santino, what are you talking about
Slipping.
here?
it was that. I was trying to figure out what you were talking about from the movie because I know what the Grimm is. I mean, I've read Harry Potter. It's
Have you?
Really? I didn't
You
know.
have? No
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, I was like, what is she talking about from the movie? Oh, the dog thing. Okay, that makes. Yeah. Okay.
But then he came and like he was trying to protect Judy and he was like this I don't know. He stole the movie for me. He's my favorite character. And
He was like such a reluctant hero. Like he was this little, like you said, this little awkward boy who has a little crush, and he gets thrown into the middle of like this demon possessed property.
Yeah.
And he got the girl. He got the girl in the end.
When I think about he got the girl and he came to her birthday party. But back to the actual plot. It wasn't scary, but it was interesting. It was nice to see Ed and Lorraine again. And nice to get to know Judy a little bit. I liked it. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't scary at all. But it was fun to watch. I was kind of bored at certain times, but not only at the beginning, really. And at first, I really didn't like Daniela. But then you see her story and you're like, okay. Yeah, those are my initial thoughts on Annabelle Comes Home.
For me, Annabelle Comes Home was like I watched with my friend, and not Dylan, another friend. And then when we were watching it, and the boyfriend Bob came over, he was like, "Oh, what a tryhard!" Okay, so for me, my favorite character was Mary Ellen. I really, really liked her, especially since she was the girl from Jumanji. She was hot in that too. And I was like, yeah, I mean, like, I mean, like, she was like such a kind babysitter. And the thing was with Comes Home, it was like it's not really scary. It was just more of a setup for like, okay, these are like monsters that we can put in future Conjuring movies. Like as you know, when the demons released and there's like these different monsters. Like okay, so this is clearly what that is just set up. Like okay, we can have a spin-off for this character. Have a spin-off for this character. Have a spin-off for this character. It's like, oh, well, okay, yeah, I'm digging it. I mean, it's not boring. It's not as boring as the first one. I mean, like the first one was just like, oh, couldn't stand it. This one's like, I can actually like sit down, have a good time with it, and like, yeah, it's okay, yeah. And the characters are intriguing. I like Judy, the actress who played her was nice. I like the tie-in of Ed and Lorraine Warren coming in, like, and then putting the Annabelle doll in the actual glass case. The please do not open under any circumstance glass case. I think that's what I'm paraphrasing. I think that's what it's called.
It says like warning, do not ever open or something like that.
Also, the actress who played Judy was McKenna Grace. That was her name.
McKenna Grace. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So I liked the boyfriend enough. I was like, oh, he's funny, and the monsters, the designs were good. Again, it's just Comes Home for me is just it's so middle ground. I mean, like it's not scary. It's not scary as Creation or Conjuring 1 and 2. But it's not as terrible as La Llorona or the first Annabelle. It's just middle ground for me. It's like, it's okay. It's an okay film. I can watch it, but it's not scary.
Yeah, for me, it really is that middle ground where it's like, for me, it's like, you know, Creation is right up at the top, and then the first two Conjuring movies, and then this one. And it's like, The Nun, La Llorona, and the first Annabelle are obviously beneath this, but it's like, even being right in the middle, I still love this movie because it's like, I like how all three of us have completely different favorite characters of the entire movie. Like for you, Erica, it's Bob. For you, Santino, it's Mary Ellen and probably Judy. For me, Daniela is my favorite character because I can't relate to what she's going through, but I can definitely see the pain and the struggles that she has that a teenage girl could feel who does blame herself for her dad getting killed. And it's like, I can see it because it's like, that's something that anybody can feel depending on their situation. So it's like, you feel so bad for this girl where it's like, she has this tough front that she's trying to put up because she blames herself for her dad getting killed, and she just wants to try and find answers, which is why she went to the Warrens' house to begin with. And I loved at the end how Lorraine was able to give her that closure of saying, your dad does not blame you for this. So it's like, I loved Daniela's arc from beginning to end of this movie.
When I was messaging you guys while I was watching it, I started off saying like, "Oh, I don't like Daniela," and then Chad was like, "Oh, you just wait," and then he was totally right. It was she wanted to see her dad, and one part that started off sweet was when they were in the demon room, or when Daniela was in the demon room and she started playing the piano, and then her dad's hand came out, and then she looked in the mirror and it was just her normal dad standing next to her. Granted, then he became a demon, but for those first few little moments, it was sweet. The part that really scared me was when Mary Ellen went to go check on Judy while she was sleeping, and Annabelle was in her fucking bed. Why did she leave it there? You don't leave a fucking possessed doll. Okay, I'm swearing again. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, so it's like that's the thing, like we've all said, this movie is not scary in the slightest. There's literally, this is almost something like I mean, maybe this would scare like a 6-year-old or something, but it was like, I remember I actually saw this twice in theaters because I just enjoyed it that much. But I remember when me and my buddy went and saw it the first time, as soon as it was done, I was just like, dude, there's nothing scary about this movie in the slightest. But I was like, but why do I like it? And we went out and had a drink afterwards, and we were just bullshitting and talking about it. And I'm just like, I loved all these characters. All three of the main female leads were awesome in their own ways, I thought. I mean, Mary Ellen was a great. First off, I love that actress, and like you said, Santino, yeah, I think she's really good looking too from and being in Jumanji. Daniela, I thought had a great arc, and I thought Judy, for being her age, very brave little girl for the house she lives in and the bullshit that they all went through during the night. And Bob, yeah, the awkward guy who has a crush, who I think that's probably my only weird issue with the movie is like him and Mary Ellen obviously have a crush on each other, but both of them are hesitant. And it's almost like, I almost look at it, I'm just like, okay, Mary Ellen, I hate to be a dick, but it's like, you're really hot. Why are you nervous about Bob? I can understand him being nervous about her, but what is she nervous about?
You've never been a teenage girl, so that's probably why.
Yeah, thank the fuck Christ I haven't been a teenage girl.
Yeah. You are very lucky for not having ever been a teenage girl.
Yeah, thank God. but no, it's just, this movie, just like from beginning to end, I find it just so much fun. Like the scares are obvious, like the lack of scares are obviously what drags it down to the middle, because I think it could be at the top for entertainment value, but the lack of scares really is what drags it down and doesn't make it as comparable as like the first two Conjurings or something. But it's like, I really do think that at the end of the day, this movie, what makes it enjoyable, it really is the characters. That's what makes this movie so enjoyable and fun to watch, I think. And like that, Ed and Lorraine being the bookends at the beginning and at the end really help. It almost feels more like a Conjuring 2.5 as opposed to an Annabelle 3. Because it's like, yeah, Annabelle's in it, but it's like you said, Santino, this movie does feel like more of a setup for future spin-offs, which I'm perfectly fine with. Like, I'd love to see if they did like an ancient, like a movie with like the samurai armor or something. Like, how did the samurai armor get possessed? Show us like a Japanese style horror film or something, or maybe The Bride. I don't know. I mean, but The Bride, that was La Llorona, right?
Yeah, I think The Bride was La Llorona. I'm not sure though.
Which failed. But yeah, it's just, so it's like, I did like how they had all the setup, and I would like to see spin-offs from more of the stuff that the Warrens had in their demon do not enter room.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like, even if like The Conjuring, I mean, like supposedly The Conjuring, the main franchise will end with Conjuring Part 3. So like you can just have like Ed and Lorraine in future spin-off movies, like, oh, what was this artifact about? And like, oh, there's a bastard, you can flash back and be like, also, it's still connected. You know, like, it can go on forever. But like, what I love about Comes Home is it's just really a simple plot. You know, there's no discovering a demonic entity and all that. It's just like, put Annabelle back in her case, and this all ends. So it's sort of like how, I can't believe I'm comparing this. Sort of like Mission Impossible Fallout. Disarm the bomb, and you're all okay. I can't believe I'm comparing it. I mean, like Mission Impossible Fallout, for example. Chad, you know this. It's a simple plot, but the characters are what make it great. Ethan Hunt, Henry Cavill's John Lark, Rebecca Ferguson. It's great characters. So simple. Same with this. It's a simple plot, but the characters are also so good that you can't help but be invested. So yeah.
Yeah. So just so you guys know, the actress who played Mary Ellen, her name is Madison Eisman. And the actress who played Daniela is Katie Sarif. I think that's how you pronounce it. But speaking of Ed and Lorraine, I just want to bring up two parts that I thought were really, really good. It was the beginning where they're driving past what I'm guessing was the car accident with Daniela and her father. And the cop is like, you have to go around. And then there's like, and Ed's like, is there anything we can do? And then, are you doctors or something? And then he was like, or something. And I thought that was funny because it was like, kind of, yeah. They've seen quite a bit, so I'm sure they could help somehow with something happening. And then at the very end, when she's talking with Daniela, and then Lorraine's like, well, I ran away with a boyfriend for 3 days. And then Daniela asked her, did Ed ever know about this boyfriend? And then Lorraine's like, he was the boyfriend. And I just thought that was a really sweet little ending line. And at the end, when Daniela and Mary Ellen end up coming with everyone to the birthday party, and they bring all of her school friends, and Bob is Mary Ellen's boyfriend now. Yay, Bob! Bob got his happy ending after trying to woo a girl and awkwardly playing guitar and then getting attacked by a demon dog. He deserved to win the girl there.
This movie just it was so, yeah, that's the thing. I agree. The movie is so full of just like fun and heart and great characters. So it's like one of the weirdest horror movies ever, where it's like,
yeah,
it's not scary, but it's fun. It's just fun all around, I think.
Yeah.
What was your first reaction when they showed the beginning of the birthday party, when it was just Judy, Ed, and Lorraine? It was like, this poor little girl she's like 10 or 12 or something, and it's just a lame birthday party with just her mom and dad.
And then one thing I loved was how Ed was wearing the pointed party hat. That was such a like corny dad move. Like, I feel like Ed would be Ed is such a good father. I just know that he would just be an incredible father. And the same with Lorraine. Lorraine would be an incredible mother. I'm sure of that. But I just found that really funny. And yeah, it made me really sad. But then when I heard the doorbell ring, I was like, that's gonna be Daniela and Mary Ellen. And then it just got better. And yeah, I hope that the real Judy was able to have a normal childhood, with her parents.
I doubt it, but who knows? And the funny thing is, like, for me, with these characters in this movie, I almost would, like, normally when it comes to a horror movie like that, like we said, everyone has, like, bad endings, sad endings, terrible things happen to them. So I would say I was glad seeing these characters get a happy ending. I almost wish there could be, like, I would love this, actually, a spin-off TV series almost in the same sense of the show The Wonder Years, just based around Mary Ellen, Daniela, and Bob or something. Because it's like, I genuinely liked these characters, and I would honestly love to see more of them.
I love this idea. I love that so much. I want to see more of Bob. One thing that was so funny was when he was playing guitar and trying to woo her, and then he like stopped and like, how do I sound? What's the lyrics? Like, oh, this and oh, what that and it was just the actor who played him just was so perfectly awkward and so like he did such a good job. Good Bob.
Good Bob, nice.
He did such a good job of playing that awkward teenage boy. And that's why, I don't know, Bob just was my favorite person in this. He just stole the show. And even when they were at the grocery store and he was like talking all awkwardly, and it was cute.
Well, I love it because it's like when he first sees Daniela, he's just like, hi, Daniela. And then Mary Ellen walks up. Hi, Mary Ellen. It's like, oh, he just kicked it right into nervous guy mode. I loved it.
I was like, man, Slow down, bro. You're coming on too healthy.
I love it. Danielle, like, Mary Ellen leaves and Danielle leans forward. She's like, she has a crush on you. And he's just like, really?
At least he didn't. At least he didn't like invite Danielle. At least he didn't invite. At least he didn't invite Mary Ellen to like a dinner and express her feelings, Anakin Skywalker style. You know,
No.
you're my
Like-
very soul. I am tormented by you.
But he did
Let me tell you that.
he did stand out his window with a guitar and woo her and serenade her with a song. And yeah.
Yeah, I liked it how he just showed up to the house and he was just like, I know I can't come in, but I just wanted to come over and say hi. It's like the flirting of days of the past, because now that we have like cell phones, you just shoot a text. Hey, how's your day? But no, he got up, put some decent clothes on, walked across the street, knocked on the door just to say hi, knowing he was about to turn around and go home.
And got advice from the stoned pizza delivery guy too. So, you know, always a bonus.
Best actor in the movie, the Stone Pizza Delivery.
I don't know the actor's name. I should have looked that up. But like that was funny.
The reason why
So-
I think Mary Ellen's the best character for me is because like she could have
The stone guy.
opted out anytime. She could have went out anytime from the paranormal activity, but she didn't. She stood her ground, decided to help Judy with the
At
giant.
first-
Yeah.
At first, when I heard you say that, I thought you were talking about the stoned pizza guy.
No.
He's your favorite character.
No, he's not. He's my second favorite character. The Stone Pizza.
So let's wrap it up. I think we've pretty much covered all of it. Closing thoughts on Annabelle Comes Home.
Annabelle Comes Home is a very, very strange horror movie. And I'll be honest with you. When I saw your list and you put Comes Home above Avengers Endgame, I was like, there's no way that's not. There's no way that's like okay. When I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, it's pretty fun. It's not above Avengers Endgame, but I can understand why. I was like, well, yeah, I liked it. It was a very strange movie, not scary, but the characters were so interesting, and they were so fun to watch. So yeah, Comes Home, it's very good, but not as good as Conjuring 1, 2, or Creation.
What list are you talking about?
My
Annabelle-
rankings of 2019 movies.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
Endgame sucked. Sorry.
Okay.
for me, I liked it. I love how everything that we discussed in detail wasn't really about the horror part of it.
Yeah,
Because there was none.
It
The
was,
only horror part of the movie was probably the coins in the eyes, maybe? I don't know.
that was a little scary, yeah. The thing that brought this home for me was honestly the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent characterization, good acting. It was sweet, and it was, it reminded me. Well, it didn't remind me of being a teenager because I never went to I did a lot of babysitting, and I never found like a demon room and possessed the whole house and stuff
You
like
can't relate to Mary Ellen? You
No.
never babysat a girl whose parents were demonologists?
Anyways, back we got sidetracked there. The characters, they brought this whole thing home, or they brought Annabelle home, I guess.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
It was well done, well acted. It didn't feel like a horror film. It felt like a kind of spooky movie, but like I said, it was the characters that made me enjoy it the most.
It felt like a Scooby-Doo movie. Something like that. It's horror, but not really horror. Something like that. Yeah.
Thriller.
Chat, final thoughts?
It's fun. It's just fun from beginning to end. And it's the characters. That's all this movie really has going for it. Is I enjoy Mary Ellen, Judy, Daniela, Bob. I enjoy watching all four of them go through their different journeys through this whole poltergeist house spooky invasion bullshit going on. It was just fun watching all of them because they all had different little journeys and arcs that they were going through from beginning to end. And it was just enjoyable. And like I said earlier, give me a spin-off TV series of these characters. It doesn't even have to be like a horror TV show, because obviously how can you make a whole show out of that? But it's like I'd love to see more of just these characters and what their lives are like and what they're going through. So yeah, Annabelle Comes Home was a lot of fun. I think, like you said, Santino, this definitely was just it was more of a setup for future spin-offs, which I'm perfectly fine with. But yeah, I mean, I like overall of the Annabelle trilogy, it started off really bad. It really kicked things into gear with Creation, and it went out on a very fun note, I think, with Annabelle Comes Home. So overall, it's a very it's I'd say it's a decent trilogy because like that, when you start like shit, you can really only go up. So props to them for making 2 and 3 far better than 1.
I love how we like brushed over 1 like so quickly.
Because there's
You're
nothing
like,
to say.
let's get out of here.
Yeah. We'll do. Yeah.
So
Hopefully I didn't swear as much as I did in Conjuring.
I think you'll swear a lot in our next one. I can't wait for next week.
oh, I almost don't even know what to say about next. I mean, we'll get there, but it's like I don't even know how the hell we're gonna fill a whole hour with the Nun and La Llorona because I have almost nothing to say about La Llorona.
Well, the Nun, I think Erica will be scared most out of all the movies.
I think the Nun's gonna freak her out. Yeah.
The Nun's gonna be the. I recently watched it and I love it to death. I was like, wow, this movie is like really really good. Not as good as the first.
Do you think it'll scare me more than Conjuring?
I think so, honestly. Yeah, the way they filmed it,
It might. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
Because, like you said, the scariest trailer that you watched was the Nun trailer, right?
I think more just the setup for the Nun in Conjuring 2 was what freaked me out the most. But yeah. So yeah, we'll wrap it up now. I hope you guys all have a good night, and we're excited to do the review for the Nun and La Llorona next week. Hope you have a good night.
Good night, guys.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy your night. See you soon.